Hey, welcome everyone to the Open Web Communities and Creators Hackathon. For this opening ceremonies, we are going to be having a panel going through all of the bounty DAOs where you'll be able to earn near tokens for your ideas and your creativity over the next 3 weeks. So I know bounty DAOs could be a new term for many people. No worries about that. So a DAO is just a decentralized autonomous organization. And even that sounds wilder than it is. It is just a way to track on-chain what is happening in terms of governance, decision-making processes. So a group of people, a community, or a company, or even a group of friends, it doesn't matter who it is, when you want to make a decision, you need to come to consensus in some way. So, through cryptography, we have ways to go online and say, well, I know who I am, and I know that I can say this is the truth. I can say that, yes, I want this to happen, and you can do that as well. So if I can come together with a group of people and we can all make a decision together on what happens in a secure way, then potentially this could be an efficient way to govern an on-chain community. Now, for the next 3 weeks, we're going to see if that's actually true. We're not actually sure, and that's part of the experiment as well. So we have set up a bunch of these DAOs, these on-chain decision-making mechanisms, to decide who should be earning on tasks done throughout the hackathon. So I will be having people across multiple different DAOs. So I'm going to actually present, and we are going to get started at showing exactly what's going to be happening. So if you can see my screen now, you'll see that we will be having the event going on until June 6th. And if you haven't already hit this big register button, please click that button so you can get started. To participate in on-chain mechanisms, you will need some near tokens. And so to do that, we'll need to know who you are so we can send you some. Getting straight down into things, we have members on stage here from the VR DAO, the Generative Art DAO, the NFT Onboarding DAO, the Nxm Near Music Guild DAO, the NFT Gaming DAO, and then later on, we are going to hear from Seed Club, which is social tokens, and MetaGov, but we also have a dual member here from Figment Learn. So we are going to let you guys go ahead and quickly say who you are. So we're going to start with Yassine. If you can go ahead and just give a quick who you are, what council you are on, and what you're excited to see in this hackathon.
Yeah, so my name is Yassine, and I'm part of the Generative Art DAO Council. And I have a past working as a front-end developer, and since 1 year I've been more interested in creative coding and art with code. And I started by just playing with JavaScript and on that side. But in the last few months, I've been working on Near and Ethereum to kind of integrate my generative art and the models we make maybe with TensorFlow and other things that come out of processing and of other libraries into NFTs and kind of connect them to the smart contracts and use the smart contracts to build something from those systems. And I'm part of the Generative Art DAO. I also took some time to create a bunch of resources that
Yeah, I saw you put a bunch of resources on the forums on the Generative DAO topic. So if anybody wants to be hacking on the Generative Art DAO or Generative Art topics, go to the forums and you could be able to see all of that information.
Yeah, I just created a list of things and libraries you can use to create. And also on the assembly script side, I mainly write smart contracts in assembly. So a lot of things happening on Near are happening on Rust. So I'm happy if anyone wants to kind of play around with assembly scripts, and the code is also just open source, and all the things I'm doing are just here day to day. So I keep working on it daily. And I also have some things that are already available if you want to just play around with them and see what you can do with NFTs and decentralized storage and Near, which you can find on my website. And from there, you can just kind of click around and tell me. And yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out. I also pretty much brought down most of the things here, which I will also try tomorrow with more details and things. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely please share those links in the chat here as well, so that anybody who wants to kind of share them as well with their friends and developer friends to get involved, they can kind of get those links right here. Next, actually, it will be great to hear from Luis, because we also have a Mint-based bounty and a Mint-based mainnet launch coming up soon. So I think riding off of what Yassine was talking about, he already has some open source code and the generative art topics, and potentially some developers might be able to kind of pass into the VR topics, but also kind of get onto the Mint-based platform and maybe use some of those split royalties, split fees, and earn a little bit more there.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. My name is Luis. I'm from Portugal. I'm currently a software developer at Mintbase. I've been involved in crypto and VR development for a while. Crypto around 3 years, VR 2 years, and right now I'm more interested in seeing VR things built on the web. So I've been a hacker for a few years. I've been hacking on hackathons, not like InfoSec stuff, but yeah, I've been involved in a couple of hackathons as a developer, crypto and non-crypto stuff. Yeah, so this is really the first time I'm at this position of evaluating other proposals and submissions and so on. So it's a new thing for me. But yeah, so for the hack, and I'm biased here, but I'm hoping to see hackers using Mintbase for their creations. We've been developing Mintbase.js, which is a JavaScript library. Basically has all the functionalities we have currently on Mintbase and more that we haven't explored yet on the UI. I can share the link here in the chat.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. We're still working through the documentation, but yeah, you can start hacking around. We also have a create Mintbase app thing. So if you're using something like React Fiber for VR stuff, which is a 3JS React library, you can also take advantage of this one here. And yeah, so I mean, I really want to be surprised with submissions. I don't really expect anything in particular. I'm expecting people to use Mintbase. One of the things I'm really expecting people to do, I'd love to see that, is an in-VR wallet. I've been personally trying to hack this for like a couple months now, and I haven't come to like a concrete solution for this. But there's one thing that might help people, which is this one thing here, which is also open source project called hmd.link. And essentially, if you're on the same network as your desktop, you can like send links to your headset without having to like type in your VR keyboard, which sucks. So yeah, people do that. And yeah, I think this pretty much sums up everything, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luis. On that note, I think it'd be great to hear from Lenara going into NFT gaming.
Hello.
Kind of, you know, after maybe you kind of get on to an NFT minting platform, you've minted some of your NFTs, you've got to some ideation. You know, what are you working on, Lenara, and what are you hoping to see in this hackathon?
So the NFT gaming is just kind of kickstarting now in the hackathon. There's me and also Tor is part of the council and Michael. So we're really open to what could be done by mixing NFTs and gaming. And I think there's like lots of possibility there. We're also hoping to grow this topic and this community. So if you want to get involved beyond this hackathon into this, whole world of NFT gaming, we're very open for that as well. Um, Also, I can't see the chat, so Chloe, if someone is typing something for me, just pass it on.
I will definitely let you know.
Uh, yeah, but basically, it's a super open kind of kickstarting moment now, and we're gonna see where this is gonna lead us. And feel free to submit, your crazy ideas, or even if things are dumb, just submit them, so we can get started with the discussion and see where we can go from there, basically.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm definitely excited to see people's wonderful and creative submissions into the NFT Gaming DAO. I know that gaming in general has been a huge use case people have seen. Obviously, Axie Infinity doing wonderfully well over the past year and a half. It's been quite a long run. And I see we have Nicole here as well from Seed Club. Welcome, welcome. And I think we can actually jump straight into, Nicole, if you'd like, talking about social tokens and kind of being able to have your own token for your community and kind of what that can do to revitalize or just invigorate any community that's hoping to get started in this space.
Yeah, sure thing. So, hey, good morning, everyone. My name's Nicole Davis, and I'm with the Seed Club team. We have a social token DAO, and Seed Club is an incubator and think space for all things social tokens and beyond. I think one of the fun things that we're excited about is also playing a little bit with the other DAOs and seeing sort of like what interoperability and integrations can happen when people start thinking about like social tokens and NFTs or social tokens in gaming or, whatever. It's good to see some of the folks that I've like followed on Twitter for a long time and that they have like actual faces and, bodies and not just avatars. So what's up? The social token DAO specifically, we are going to be looking at a couple of things. First of all,
you can probably take out more. Just put in custom amount.
Oh, Josh, you're on. Hey, Josh, you're. There we go. So first of all, when you're bringing people into the community, and I can talk a little bit about this later, but when you're bringing people into the community, how do you, think about that community? And so I think that there's kind of two ways to go about it. Sometimes the community already exists and you're looking to take it to the next level and use some of the cool technologies, Chloe, that you were talking about earlier that make us able to do things digitally that we've done before in person. And then sometimes there's, sort of beyond that, you can do things digitally that you didn't used to be able to do in person. And so how can you make that really interesting? And then sometimes communities come together because of a social token. And so I think we're interested in both of those. And there's a lot of pieces that still need to be built. And we're hoping that that's what we're going to see today and over the next many weeks. I think that, wallets and figuring out like how to set up your wallet and how that works, getting people into your community and getting them set up, getting the tokens into their hands, and then encouraging them to start using the tokens in different ways. And then finally, how do you educate people that might be new to the crypto space? So I'll be talking about all of that later, but please jump into our Discord channel. We're on, Twitter will be around. We're going to be hosting an ideation open mic jam tomorrow, and all of the DAOs are also invited to that. So if you need some help coming up with ideas or narrowing your idea, I've done a lot of work in the crypto and music and tech innovation fields in general with that. So if you just need help thinking about like, does this idea sort of have legs for a, four-ish week jam? Like, is that going to work? Like, please jump in there. I know there's a bunch of there's like a ideation workshop that's happening that I think somebody else is giving. But anyways, we would love to play and work with folks, and you'll be seeing a lot of me over the next couple days.
Wonderful. And please drop all the links required to get involved with Seed Club in the chat here, Nicole. And I think it would be a lot of things you were saying about education and ensuring that we can educate the people that are coming to our community is super important. Rogan, it would be great to hear from you next. Rogan is on the Generative Art DAO, but is also on the Figment DAO. So Rogan, if you are still there, it'd be great. Okay, awesome. Great to hear. You just don't want to show your beautiful face today, I see.
Yeah, no, it's just the room I'm in is full of sun, and it's not a good turn on the camera.
No worries
time.
at all.
No.
No worries at all.
But other than my beautiful face, which is not the topic of discussion today, hi everyone, I'm Rogan X. I have been involved in the crypto space for, well, just coming up on a year now, actually. There have been a lot of very interesting developments as far as art and generative art on the blockchain. And interestingly enough, I am a generative artist myself. Although, and this is the interesting part, I don't actually use processing or any other JavaScript libraries to do what I do. I'm not going to give away secrets, but effectively for this hackathon, the things that I personally would like to see, I think are a lot different than what you would expect, because I'm not really, I guess you could say I'm platform agnostic, I'm software agnostic. You could write something in Rust, you could write something in JavaScript. I'm still going to be able to evaluate it the same way because, well, I can read all that code, which is nice for me, haha. But what I've seen in the time that I've been here is that there are a lot of artists out there doing their thing and getting no recognition for it, especially when it comes to generative art. I think it's very poorly understood. If you search for generative art on Google, one of the first things that you will come across is an article written by one of our wonderful community members, Artgnome. I'm not going to read the whole article or anything, but I would just like to reference 1 or 2 points from it. It's on his website, artgnome.com. It's from 2018. The title of the article is Why Love Generative Art. In this article, he mentions 2 myths about generative art. The first one is that an artist has to have complete control and that the code that they write is always executed exactly as written. Therefore, generative art would lack the element of chance, accident, discovery, and spontaneity that often makes art great, if not at least human and approachable. The second myth, the artist has zero control and the autonomous machine is randomly generating the designs. The computer is making the art and the human deserves no credit as it is not really art. And I mean, yeah, they're absolutely myths. There is not a grain of truth to either one of those things. When you are using a computer to make art, and hey, because this is the 21st century, a lot of us do, you as the user are in control. There's an old saying, computer is only as smart as the person using it. And although that does kind of seem a little bit elitist, I think we can really get to the useful nugget of information in that, is that you really have to try. And so the effort that goes into making a lot of generative art projects is totally unseen, unannounced, and unappreciated for the most part. So what I'm really looking for throughout the hackathon is kind of an explanation of your process. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? What are the choices that you are making in your design or in your code that are you as an artist exerting control over the machine and showing us chance, accident, spontaneity? Some of my favorite art projects include, well, art blocks. I mean, it's easy for people to talk about art blocks because it's huge and it involves so many people and it's kind of like a linchpin of the space right now. But I'm not going to ramble on and on about it. I think ultimately I think ultimately it is up to people coming in to be inquisitive. Ask questions. We're here to answer your questions. We want to show you the best of what we can do. So please feel free to hit me up on social media through the DAO. I'll be here for the duration of the hackathon, talking to people, answering questions, doing the best I can to give a good impression of generative art in the kind of, where does it fit into this whole thing sense. Hopefully any and all of that makes sense.
I mean, it made sense to me. I mean, to me, it came down to you really want to see people's process. You want people to come on.
I'm very process.
Show you what, not just show you the finished product, not just show you the flashy ending of what they built, but you want to see you really want to see people dig down into their ideation and why are they building this? How is it going to support the community? And that's hopefully what this is all about for people. Not to get too stuck into the finished final flashy product, but really digging into like, how do we best support the communities that we're in through what we're building. And I think also on that whole education aspect, you are there to support the community. So if anyone here does need help with their code, Rogan has just said he understands all of these different languages. So if anyone is listening and you need help with your code, Rogan has just said he will help all of you. So that's all I took.
Thanks, Chloe.
Anytime.
Well, I'm never sleeping again.
I do what I can to help. On that front, I think it's important for people to understand, if you're not a developer and but maybe you have an idea as well where you do have a process to support this community building effort. And I think it would be great to hear from Jordan, on the NFT onboarding DAO about, how we can use some of these cool new processes in the Web3 space to really get people on board, whether they're a developer or not, whether they know what these processes are or not, and how do we get them taking that next step?
For sure. Let's see. Since we're talking about onboarding, first I want to just share some links that got put together to
Please do.
make things useful for folks at the hackathon. Matt Neer actually came up with this list of just great hacking resources, and we also tossed in some generally useful resources around the hackathon for like getting to the Gov form, because you'll need that link all the time, and getting to DAOs and all those things in the docs. So bookmark link.tree/nearinc. And then to get into some of the stuff that I'm excited about with the onboarding, I wanted to just like tear through some just really fast, where my head is at with different projects. And with onboarding, there's just so many different ways to get involved that that all of these are ways of onboarding people. Whenever you work on a project that speaks to some niche, that's what's exciting to me, is going after things that are exciting and very specific to you. And it doesn't have to be something with mass appeal, but just something that you're excited about. That's what I love seeing, is passion for projects and things that are just really up your alley. So to jump through some of these things, these are just like brainstorm ideas. One of the things that I'd really love to see on Near is a token farming thing. Meme, I think, is the best example of this, since they do such a great job with art curation. This is an Ethereum project, and the basic idea is you've got a token, an ERC20 token. You stake it. By staking it, you get some game points. With your game points, you can buy art. And this would be cool to see specifically on Near, because we've got the Rainbow Bridge, so any ERC20 token can come over the bridge. And if there's a place to farm random ERC20 tokens and get art for them, that's instant utility for all those different tokens. So that would be an interesting project to see cloned. And there's a lot of different farming projects like that to take a look at. And then NFT Mosh, this is like an idea that I had a while back, but also serves as like one of the checkpoints. So during the hackathon, we've got checkpoints where the first one is just like getting your idea written down on the form. Second one is putting a pitch deck together. Third one is putting some kind of mock or demo together. So this is kind of like at the pitch deck stage. What would a project look like? And very briefly, to tear through these, the idea is that you take two pieces of art, you mosh them. Photo mosh is like an example application that a lot of trash artists use. There's JavaScript libraries that do similar things in the browser. So the idea is load some art NFTs and then make a new NFT out of them. And when I look at a pitch deck, I want to know, like, why something is relevant, and then also just see like overall design, just what thought has been put into how people interact with something. And then also some like technical specifications of even just broad strokes, what pieces need to come together to make a thing happen. And then also thinking about some of the value of why you would do a thing, looking at what else has happened in the space around your idea. And yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'd look for in a pitch deck to hear from a project. This one, if I was critiquing it, and I can because it's my own, I would say there's not enough to look at. It's just a bunch of words. What the heck is going on here? So pictures help a lot. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. To keep on going down the brainstorm, Rare Estate is a site where you can put in your Ethereum address and your XCP Bitcoin address and see art across 2 chains. So I really like this idea of like cross-chain galleries, or being able to display art in a single place, regardless of where it's living. And Rare Estate is a cool example of that. So here I've got some XCP tokens. This one I made, Mo made that one. Some Yang Bucks, some Rare Pepes. Yeah, potato. Oh, the People's Potato. This would be a cool thing to get onto near in any chain too. The People's Potato is an NFT project where the whole point of it is to get a potato in every single wallet until they're in 1 million wallets, and then 1 billion wallets, and then every wallet, it's the people's art. So that would be a fun one to hack on too. Kind of along these lines, there's some JavaScript libraries for doing things like Rare Estate. Like there's this Cred NFT widget builder where you give it a wallet or some addresses, and then it makes little widgets that you could embed on any kind of website. So something that allows you to embed art easily would be really cool to see as a hack project. Museums, that's the same as the Rare Estate type thing. Just a place that you can go and see art from everybody. But along these lines, Kodame has done some art shows with newart.city. And this is like a really fun gamified environment. It's not a metaverse, so there isn't the sense of like rare land, but things are interconnected. Like each one of these little portals here will take you to a different art show. And these are all just shaders that were made in Kodame workshops, but these could all be NFTs. The interesting thing to do here would be like figure out what do the transactions look like, kind of like the VR question. So that's something to look at. Yeah, look at it. Woo. Another fun hack project, stuff around bots. Near Week is a newsletter that comes out every week. There's a Telegram chat where everybody just throws news. It'd be cool to have something to help sort the news and like be able to upvote it and automatically tip people for sending in news. So a bot around kind of like upvoting. Maybe it's like something between Stack Overflow and Reddit for news in a chat is the 1 minute idea there. Another interesting thing going to cross-chain stuff, our Zora is an open protocol. Right now it's deployed on the Ethereum network. Since it's totally open source, and this is like an artist-specific protocol which takes 0% over the top, so it's like a really cool conceptual project that people are using. But now on Near, we've got Aurora and a bridge to go along with it, so feasibly, you could fork Zora and deploy it on Aurora, Zora Aurora, and then you've got your own auction house, NFT release platform that's specifically catered to, I think this came out of mostly the music scene, but all kinds of assets can be loaded up in there. And they're very like artist first project. Going into the gaming stuff, I really like analog gaming. So I've been playing this Button Men game for years. It's very simple. It's a dice game. You get to roll dice. And there's a very crappy web interface for playing it and a very committed community to this thing. You'd have to love a game to play it in an interface like this. But if you look at my artwork, you'll notice numbers in some of them, and that usually goes back to this game. The random numbers aren't so random, but it makes the art playable. So something around this, I don't know if it's like furthering the analog gaming side of it and what blockchain means for analog gaming. I know that there's a few people working on things like that in the Paras community, or if it's taking a game like this and making it digital, whether it's like a web page, someplace where people can bet on rounds, different stuff like that. There's a lot of room to play there. And Tokencast is an open source project for art frames. It'd be cool to see NFTs loaded up in that from Near Protocol or any of the green chains. And that's the end of my tabs. But to wrap things all the way back around to the start of NFT onboarding, one of the things that myself, What's Her Toes, and IOTA, we are the NFT social club. We've decided to call ourselves the NFT social club. We're like the welcoming committee. You come to Near and we give you some NFTs and we say, hey, it's real nice here. Want to hang out? That's our job. But one thing that would make our jobs a lot easier is if there was some kind of sender for NFTs. Because right now, when we get somebody their wallet, we manually send them like a couple NFTs, and then we send them a link to their Paras ID and are like, hey, look, you're already a collector. It'd be great if there was like a way, some kind of app where artists could send in their NFTs. Like, say you want to participate in this. You mint 100 NFTs and you send them all to a DAO or an address or an app. And then whenever somebody has a new wallet, you could just put in that wallet, and then that app would send them 3 random NFTs. And you could check and make sure that people only claim it once, with like only one wallet can only claim once, but people can contribute in a limited amount of times. That would be an interesting app to see. But if you did want to make it a long-term thing, something like that could be rolling on a monthly basis. And then it would be like an art swap every month, where everybody who wants to participate just uploads art. And then at the end of the month, everybody that participated gets everybody else's art. So an art swap thing like that would be really fun and social. So I will pause for a breath there and let Chloe decide.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for all those wonderful ideas. I do love that last one. I know obviously doing the onboarding, part of all of that is, how do you get NFT? Yeah, manual. How do you get all those NFTs to people? But, I do think that, as we find ways to get artists on board and incentivize them to get their art together, you'll be able to figure that one out over the next few weeks. I'm fully, I believe in your capabilities. Next, it would be great to hear from Vandal from the Near Music Guild. And it would be great to hear, what have you, you've been working on a lot, I know, in the music space, both on Ethereum and Near. So I know you're also, a little more chain agnostic. So what would you like to see kind of done over the next 3 weeks to support the Web3 music space in general?
First of all, let me thank you, Chloe, and everybody else who's, spent the time and energy to put this together and get everybody here on stage to talk and share. I think this is amazing. And it's amazing what all of us have been able to accomplish in such a short time. So I'm really proud of everybody in here for their contributions, and those watching, should also acknowledge that, I feel. But thank you. And I would love to just kind of look at how we can onboard. So onboarding, I think, is one of the biggest things in my perspective in bringing musicians into the space and sort of acclimatizing them to the various tools that they can use. So this has been one of the primary functions of the Nxm DAO, which is the Near Music Guild, and is now also a DAO on Sputnik. And through the onboarding, we've kind of been able to set up a process of, how can we gift new people into the community, Near names, and the tip bot in the Telegram, which is totally awesome, and just answering the various questions that people have and establishing kind of the bare bones identity of the community. And this is kind of being done through the work of a number of people in the Nxm community, primarily Alex and Steven. Alex has been like gung-ho on the event, so shout out to him. He's in there. We have Nxm Live Two, which is coming up. So this is like a live stream feature of a bunch of performers and DJs from the Nxm Guild, and I'll share once I'm off here. I'll share the links in the chat, or maybe if Alex, you're there, you can share the link in the chat if that's cool. So that's happening at 6 p.m. UTC. So really excited about showcasing some of the amazing talent in the Guild, and it's been really inspiring for me personally because, you know, I've been reaching out to old friends, you know, from the Toronto hip hop scene, like during my early days, I guess you could say, like 90s hip hop scene in Toronto, and a bunch of the people from the scene have come into the Guild, and it's really great to kind of reconnect at the same time as, you know, continue on this mission of looking at how we can you know, build a new music industry ecosystem, because I think that's one of the primary goals that the Guild is looking at. What are the various elements of a music industry ecosystem from the perspective of the musician, as opposed to, you know, tech companies, or, you know, nothing against tech people. I know tech people are also musicians as well, and they were some of the early ones in this space, particularly. But, you know, how we can get the wider net of musicians out there in and on to these using these tools, and here into the hackathon, which I think is, usually people think about hackathons as, you know, very technical and with code and everything. And, you know, I think it's great what we're doing here is, you know, doing something, hacking for the creatives. So how can we, you know, build these communities using DAOs, and we've been exploring the various ways that we could create DAOs. So that's going to be our primary focus going into the hackathon, is looking at ideating, you know, the various visions of community members and how they connect with the DAOs, and then sort of looking at the process of participating, proposing, being rewarded, and having that all set up in a way that's understandable for community members who generally are new to the blockchain space in general. So there's that, and then of course the event side of things, which I feel personally very strongly about, because, you know, one of the I wouldn't say lifesaver, but one of the major benefits for me personally in this space during the pandemic was the ability to create events using the various virtual worlds that are there, and have a space where artists can come and perform and do what they love to do, and at the same time have an opportunity to earn some money doing it. And I think that this is really, you know, important during the pandemic, where live music has been shut down, and artists, musicians primarily, are looking for a way to stay afloat and to, you know, be able to do what they love to do. And so, you know, I'm super happy to see what the event DAO has lined up, you know, and just being here to support everybody with my limited knowledge. I mean, I've only been around for a little while, you know, in the space. I feel so, you know, for me to be able to share what I know with everybody, and just kind of have fun with it, you know. This should be fun. We shouldn't be, you know, too serious about it. Don't worry too much about your idea. Like, let's say you've got, you know, something you want to propose, you're not so sure about proposing. You know, I think that just go for it. You know, if you're out there listening and you don't know whether your proposal is worth it or not, well, I would just say do it. You know, this space is all about getting your hands dirty and jumping in there and actually like hands-on and learning from the practical experience. So whatever it is you're thinking of, no matter how crazy or wacky it might be. We've had all the speakers on before me who are all, hosting various elements of this hackathon that you can get involved in. And there's a lot of crossover. Like, I'm seeing tons of crossover. I'm hearing Jordan speak and I'm like, oh yeah, I hear there's this idea that we have for this that could connect with, something he said. And, so to explore beyond just whatever particular DAO or guild that you're involved in, and look into the other opportunities to connect with people here on this Open Web Hackathon, because that's what it's all about. It's open, it's on the web. It's for us to utilize, to share our ideas, connect with people, to help see your vision come to life. And I don't know if I'm rambling on, but I'll cut it short here. It's just, let's just have fun with this, let's have fun.
I'm in 100% agreement. This is all about us having fun. If you go to that hackathon website and you get, enthralled in a topic, I would agree with that sentiment 100%. Please don't just stick on one topic. Please try out doing ideation on every single one of those topics. Even on that Figment Learn bounty, where you can make an educational resource and get earned from that. Maybe you've always wanted to make an educational resource and you've just never had a reason to try. Why not try and copy some docs from Ethereum and write them for another chain? You don't have to be hacking on Near specifically for this hackathon. It's about open web communities. So if you really think that there is a doc on the Ethereum side that's working on creative communities that you really just want to work on for a tutorial, and you think it should get into Figment Learn, maybe Figment will take it. I don't know. You might have to ask Rogan if they take docs for Ethereum. But Vanda, one point you were talking about in terms of how do we govern all of this. So we're setting up all these DAOs, yes, and we are experimenting with a lot of these settings. So someone in the comments was saying, they would like some help setting up a DAO. We will have sessions for that. We do have a MetaGov table in this air meet. So after this session, you can sit at those tables and get support from somebody. But for those addresses of your council members, all of them will also need to have Near addresses. So your Near account becomes like your identity on chain. And so when you are making these on-chain decisions, you are using your Near account in a Sputnik DAO. That's our kind of DAO iteration we have in the Near ecosystem. If you're on a different blockchain, you might call it something else. But either way, you'd have your blockchain identity, which you are using to vote. But someone probably a little more well-suited to speak about this, Joshua Tan, is on the panel here today as well. And we are going to hear from him about governance. I did mute you, sorry, so you're gonna have to unmute yourself. If you could figure that one out. There you go.
I can click buttons. I got it.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. So there's a governance challenge as part of the hackathon. You can see it, or I'll drop a link in the chat later. But it covers a whole range of different governance issues, different governance challenges. There's I think at this point, around 10 different governance challenge areas that you can sort of make proposals in. It's just kind of there to help you sort of scope out your project, because the governance is a very kind of broad and sometimes vague topic, especially in the world of blockchain. But generally speaking, so there are these challenge areas. They run from things like how to govern the Rainbow Bridge to more practical things like Clay was just mentioning about how to govern an actual DAO. And also, I just apologize for the cheery music behind me. I'm in a cafe somewhere. I'm digital nomading down in Mexico right now. But so the Near community has a large amount of technical infrastructure. So that includes things like Rainbow DAO as well as Sputnik DAO. These sort of technical stacks, they all, in some sense, need to be governed. So Rainbow Bridge, as other sort of speakers were talking about, has an incentive system in place to sort of help it run, or that's a proposed incentive system. I was actually talking to some of the folks who were building that last month, but they could be very, very different. So depending on how the tokens are distributed. And so that's one of the governance challenges. Another challenge revolves around building. I know this is something that James is really interested in, but how to sort of like foster more DAO-to-DAO relationships. So DAO-to-DAO sort of interoperability is a really like kind of exploding subject right now in blockchain/DAO space. You can think about like it can run from extremely simple things to like, you know, one DAO giving a contract to another DAO to like build a website or build an app. And currently, like in some sense, surprisingly, like there's like the tooling for that just doesn't exist right now. Like, I mean, you can submit proposals from one DAO to another. You can do that in Sputnik Fund, right? You can submit a payout proposal. But it's hard to make these kind of contracts and sort of to develop these kind of long-term relationships using sort of the current technology. Oh, maybe it just hasn't been tried in sort of like creative ways. So one of the things that you might be interested in doing is these DAO-to-DAO. Anyways, I'm not going to go through all the challenge areas because that's going to be like maybe a little bit overwhelming. There would be an entire hour for that kind of reserved starting approximately an hour from now. And I'll go through those challenges areas with the other organizers of the challenge. But broadly speaking, maybe I just want to emphasize that I think it was Chloe who mentioned earlier that the work, or maybe it was Jordan, that, you know, this hackathon is for people, not just for necessarily for like programmers. It's also for, you know, non-technical people who are just coming into this space, who don't necessarily know what's going on, but have just ideas about how to make life on the internet better, right? That's kind of why we're all here. That's why it's called the Open Web Hackathon, right? And I think the governance challenge is a really, you know, nice opportunity to do that, because it's really talking about governance is all about how people interact with technology, right? How people use it and how people ultimately interact with each other to create better spaces and, you know, better ecosystems. So if you have an idea for how to do things better that involves how people should work, can involve like words and proposals and incentive systems, it doesn't necessarily have to be implemented as a piece like an app or something. We would actually love to have those proposals, just like innovative thinking, creative thinking about how people can work together, you know, how people can be incentivized in new ways to work together. And I think, as Chloe's mentioned near the end, any of these proposals can in some sense be combined with a proposal around music, a proposal around NFTs and art. For just like a really short example, like we're right now, so the organization I represent, MetaGov, you know, is working with a couple of artistic organizations to build essentially applications that help them govern themselves, right? Because they have all these NFTs, they have all this art, but they need to make collective decisions about these kinds of resources. Well, in order to do that, you need governance, right? So governance is something that's pretty much necessary for every kind of project, especially projects that exist on the blockchain. So anyways, I just want to mention that. So there's opportunity for creative thinking, no matter what you're doing along the lines of governance. Check out the Governance Challenge launch and some of our workshops and events throughout the next 3 weeks to learn more, to sort of skill up, and just have some fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joshua, for that explanation, not only of governance in general in this Web3 space, but also specifically the MetaGov Challenge and the ways in which, you know, creative thinkers within the governance space can kind of get rewarded for their ideas. I think this is what this hackathon is all about in general, is taking creative thinkers across who are into open web, who are into Web3 topics, and getting them into one spot, sharing their ideas and trying to solve these problems. So one of the problems we hope to have over the next little while, over the next few weeks, is having these bounty DAOs run out of funds and also figure out how they are going to go through the process of increasing their balances as well. So I hope that everyone watching here, go to the website we've shared many times. We'll share it again, but createbase.community/hackathon, and you'll have all the information there. If you have not registered yet, you can still click the big shiny purplish red or register button to register for the hackathon. If you missed the conference yesterday and you want to get some ideas or you just want to refresh yourself, you can click the conference button there and go see what's been going on yesterday. And there's some amazing talks going on from amazing people in the Web3 space. And, you know, submit your ideation. I mean, this is, you know, we all want to see some amazing things done in the music space, VR, generative art. We want to see educational proposals, gaming. You can go create your social token right now. I actually created a social token for my foundation last night. It was quite fun. So if anyone has any questions for any of the people that are up on this stage, we'll give you, you know, a few seconds, a few minutes to ask away. If not, we are going to break for a bit, go back to the tables. Feel free to discuss and stay for a while. You can use the speed networking and, you know, speak to people that are here. You can sit at a table and get more information from anyone that's on stage. And thank you so much for coming out to the opening ceremonies. This was a lot of fun. And we're all excited to see all of your creative ideas on the NEAR forums very soon. Okay, bye everybody.